Okay, I guess we'll get started. More people will probably join us as we go. Once again, like I said, I'm Marci Fradkin. I'm the Director of International Admissions at Valparaiso. So I recruit both grad and undergrad, but I only admit undergrad. And I've been at Valparaiso 4 years, and I've been to 78 countries. And I'm very excited to be here with you guys this morning. So let's see, Andrew.
Yeah, good morning or good evening wherever you are. Probably most of you it's good evening or afternoon. But anyway, I'm Andrew Knox. I'm the senior coordinator in the International Student Services Office. So you'll see my name on most of your I-20. So I don't do the admission part, but once you get admitted, I work with you to make your I-20, and then I send that to you. And then after you arrive, we have all kinds of activities and services that my office provides. So I love to meet all the students and help them while they're actually here at Valpo. I've been at Valpo for almost 10 years. I came as a grad student myself, actually. I actually came from China. Now I'm American, but I was teaching English in China. And so when I came to Valpo, I actually felt a little bit like an international student. I had many international student friends, and that's when I came to Valpo. But then I started working about 8 years ago in the office. And I've been to Japan, lived in Japan, and also been to places like Cyprus and Fiji, couple, not nearly as many countries as Marci, but.
All right, so I am Gwen Kozak. I am an admissions specialist in the graduate office. So I communicate and work with graduate students as far as their admissions process. I've been at Valpo now in this position for almost a year, but I've been on campus for almost 4 years. I did both my undergraduate degree here, and I got my master's in business administration from Valpo as well this last August. All right, so I'm just gonna go over the agenda a little bit, let you know what we're gonna cover. So first, we're gonna go over our COVID-19 update, give you a little bit of an update of what's going on campus. We're gonna talk about why Valpo, preparing for your visa interview, arrival details, your orientation details, registration details, and then finally, we're gonna go over a Q&A where you can ask questions.
Okay, this is a little bit of a complicated issue with COVID-19. As you guys know, in your countries and in the United States, this is changing every day around the world. So I'm going to talk about our current campus policy, but it's still developing as we go along. Right now, the campus, last time I checked, I believe was 95% vaccinated. So that includes students, that includes our janitors, that includes staff, that includes professors, that we are 95% vaccinated. We do have a mandate that everyone be vaccinated on campus. And we understand that might be some challenges depending on what country you're coming from. And what we're looking for is a vaccination from the World Health Organization list, the WHO list. I will put the link for the WHO list later on into the chat so you guys can take a look at it. But we are looking for something that is off the WHO list for you to have a vaccination. So that is our current policy. We do have vaccinations on campus. We did for fall have a whole bunch of students get vaccinated after arrival, but this is where it gets complicated. We on November 8th. Yep, November 8th. I got the date right. There is a President Biden has put a proclamation that to arrive in the United States, you have to be vaccinated before you arrive. Now, we are still trying to figure this out, how this is pertain to students who are coming here on an F1 visa or a J1 visa, and that is still evolving. And that's why we're saying this is a little complicated. So we strongly recommend before, if you have the vaccination in your home country, that you try to get the vaccination before you come. And if not, if you see it's going to be a problem, if it's not available, if you're too far on the waiting list, then you need to contact us and we'll work with you. We have been told there will be a exemption for people where it's not available, who are traveling on a non-tourist visa. But the clarification, what that means and what countries are included and what visa status are included is still evolving, unfortunately. Andrew, do you have any other insight? Is that an accurate portrayal of what I just said?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything better we can say right now. So I know that many Indian students were able to get vaccinated back in India, before they came in August. So I would assume that, people in India most likely by the time January comes would be able to get vaccinated. That's my assumption, but
it's something we're still trying to figure out, and I'll be honest. And here's the deal: is we will send further updates, what the policy is. But we are a fully vaccinated campus. But like I said, for the fall, we understood some students couldn't get it. But you might not even be able to enter the United States if you don't have it now. Also, besides being vaccinated, they still want you to have a negative COVID test. So that's the other thing. So, I had students who went, oh no, I need to get it before I get on the plane, and they did schedule it. So there's a certain amount of time frame. I believe it's 48 hours. They keep changing that too, prior to your flight. So make sure you book that early so you have all your ducks in line to join us here at Valpo. Does anyone have any specific COVID questions? You can turn on your camera or you can put it into the chat. The other thing you should know about campus is regarding COVID is since we're 95% vaccinated, we are not wearing masks everywhere on campus. The only place we are currently requiring people to wear masks are in a classroom setting or in a lab setting. And those are the only place we're currently requiring students to wear a mask, and staff and faculty. So, because, there are breakthrough cases. And so we want to try to keep everything safe. But I think we've had like 2 positive cases, I think, since the beginning of the school year. So we really have been controlling it pretty well. And we have been going back to the new normal experience. Anyone else have any insight on this? Anything else you guys want to share about COVID, where we're at? Okay.
Oh, I think just because of the vaccinations and, because of different measures taken, I think Valpo's done very, very well this year. So that's something you can feel confident about. Of course, COVID is not something that we can control. So we don't know what will happen in the coming months, and we always have to be careful and aware. But if you look on the Valpo University website, just valpo.edu, right in the top, there's a COVID information page, and there's a dashboard you'll see there. And you'll see that that there's very few cases. Hopefully that will continue. But yeah, it's just been very, very low the past month or two, even from the start of the semester. So we're very happy about that.
Okay, I'm putting the link in the chat in case anyone wants to take a quick look, but we're moving on. Okay, why Valpo? This is actually the campus. University campuses are a little different in the United States and some other countries. And some countries have a more American style campus. So I always describe a university campus in the United States. It looks like a park with a whole bunch of buildings in it, because we want you to have fun outside the classroom. We want to have everything you need in the campus. So we have a library, we even have a chapel, we have, even a small mini mart on the campus. So I always describe it as like a city within a city. And so this is a lovely picture of our campus, I think at sunset or sunrise, I don't know which. And so we're going to go a lot over Valpo is about professional preparation, affordable and quality. We have lots of campus resources, and we'll talk about some of those today. We'll talk about, the experience, and we have 2 Valpo grads here that can talk about their experience as being grad students there. The campus is very, very diverse, from international students to American students. We offer some rocking career services, and the town in the area is really also quite cool as well. And like I said, my co-host, feel free to jump in at any points. But I think one of the things that makes us really, really, really cool is our location. Our location is the best of both worlds. And when I'm saying that is because we are located only 72 kilometers from the city of Chicago. And so we're in this, Valparaiso University is in Valparaiso, Indiana, which is 72 kilometers, and depending on traffic, about an hour drive into the city. So it's the best of both worlds, is what I always say. So Chicago is the third largest city in the United States. And does anyone want to guess what number 1 and number 2 is? Does anyone want to write in the chat number 1 and number 2 is? Nope. Okay.
Right.
You guys are quiet. Andrew, Gwen.
You have
What's
it
number
there
1?
in the PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah. Damn it. I had it right there. See, I even gave you a cheat. So Rahul, do you have something to share? But anyway, so New York is actually the largest city in the United States. Chicago is the second, or LA is the second largest city. And we used to be the third largest. But now Chicago is the and the other thing I really like about Chicago, besides it being a really, really cool city, is we're much more reasonable. So this is showing how much cheaper it is to live in Chicago versus New York or LA. And even Valparaiso is even more reasonably priced. And we have everything from museums to theater. We even have an area that's called Devon Street that has lots of Southeast Asian cultures, Pakistani, Nepali, Indian culture. So it's a really, really diverse city with a lot to offer. And a lot of what's to offer. Ooh, I'm missing a slide. Hold on, maybe it's gone. There we go. I'm going to go back to one slide. So there's a lot of different companies based in we call it the Chicagoland. Chicago's the city and the areas surrounding it, including the suburbs. And Valparaiso is considered a suburb of Chicago. There's a lot of great companies based here. So that gives you a lot of great opportunities to do internships, to get jobs after graduation. In Valparaiso, we even have a commuter bus that will take you into the city. Let's say in the summer, you get an internship in Chicago. There's a commuter bus that will take you into the city every day and then bring you back to Valparaiso at night. So it really has everything you could need, you could really, really want. Valparaiso, this town is only around 30,000 people. It's really, really, really safe. Once again, we're only 72 kilometers from Chicago, and we even have our own public transportation system. The downtown area is really, really cute. Lots of cafes, lots of restaurants. You can walk off campus and you could be at 3 different restaurants right off the campus. But the downtown area is probably would you say 15-minute walk, guys, from campus?
Yeah.
But if you don't want to walk, we do also have a public transportation, and your student IDs work to get on the bus for free. And that bus even takes you to the commuter train if you rather take the train into the city. Anything else you guys want to add about living in Valpo, the cool things about being a student in Valpo and the city itself?
I would say just all the really cool things that happen downtown. There's always some kind of event or something going on in the park. The library does a lot of different things. I mean, there's always something interesting going on downtown.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the Valpo town is a really beautiful, small town. I think the Valpo location is very interesting. Many universities in the U.S., if you look at the famous universities in the U.S., many of them are either out in the middle of nowhere, like even famous universities like Kansas or Illinois or whatever. They're out in the middle of the cornfields, no city around, or they're right in the middle of the city. I drove by the University of Chicago a couple of weeks ago, a beautiful campus. It's right in the middle of the busy, sometimes not so safe, city. And Valpo is just this really unique advantage of both of those. We're very close, so we can go to Chicago and eat the good, international food. We have some of that here too. but we also have the cornfields right nearby. We had a farm hayride and bonfire event last weekend. Just a few minutes outside Valpo, many international students went and experienced a farm in the US. And yet you can go to Chicago and eat, the best international food from any country. So that's really cool.
And we have the beach.
What's that?
The beach. And
yes, of course.
So we have something called the Indiana Dunes.
Yeah.
We are on Lake Michigan, which is one of the largest lakes in the world. And if you look at it, it looks like an ocean almost. And there's a sand beach, and you can even get there on public transportation. So it's a lot of different things to offer here besides just the classroom and the city and stuff like that. Let's see, where are we next? There we go.
We took a trip to the Dunes Beach just a couple weeks ago with the international students, and just 20-minute, 30-minute drive away, and we're at a huge, basically ocean, but it's a lake.
So this is our bus service. It's not a big fancy bus because we're a smaller town, but your student ID gets you on this bus. It'll take you to the grocery store. It'll take you to the movie theater. A lot of our graduate students will live off campus, and they will take this from their apartments. So, you don't, a lot of small towns, it is hard to get around without a car. Valparaiso, you can walk a lot of places, but also we do have this bus service. Like I said, that is free to students. Andrew, you want to talk about a little bit about this, about some of the stuff we do on campus and your office and service, and then I'll go and talk about some of the other stuff in the clubs.
Yeah. So let's see, the Office of International Programs, that's where I work. Sometimes we call it the OIP, and we have the biggest international student association is the Valpo International Student Association, which very conveniently, the shorter, the acronym for that is VISA. So that's kind of cool. VISA, School for International Students. So that organization encompasses all international students from all countries, and that's the most active organization. They put on many events. They're up in the picture there. You see the Food Bazaar 2021. It was really cool this year. We were very thankful to be able to do it again this year after not being able to do it because of the pandemic last year, at least in person. So basically, the international students from many countries cook food from their country, and then they sell it at the Food Bazaar. So it's just a really neat time where all the international students come together and cook really amazing food. The Indian students cooked amazing kebabs, chicken kebabs. That was really good.
And the Nepali students made momos. So
yeah, always made
momos. I think we had like about 15 different countries represented.
Yeah, we had China. Let's see what else we have. Nigeria.
Turkey,
and blanking on the others. What's that?
Mexico, Brazil, the continent of Africa, they did it together. So a lot of different countries were represented as part of that.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably my personal favorite event of the year. But we also have a really big event called the World Banquet. You'll see that on the slide there, and that's a similar event in some ways, but it's more of a show, and it's inside, more of a banquet where all the international students get together and put on some performances from their culture, and then there's really good food for that too. So there was a Chinese Moon Festival and New Year's festival that we always celebrate. So lots of really fun things like that to really celebrate the cultures of so many countries. So we're really thankful that we've been able to do so much of that this year after, unfortunately not being able to do so much last year. So.
And a lot of times you will even see a blend, like even at the Food Bazaar, we had American students of different cultures sharing their culture. Our current president, who is going to be actually sworn in this weekend as the president of the university, his heritage is Mexico. So his wife and his daughter did a little Mexican booth as well. So it's really an opportunity, and we're currently preparing, because you guys all know Diwali is around the corner. We're currently preparing for a Diwali celebration.
Yeah.
Did you guys use the career services? I think this is something really unique to America and really, really cool. And, like I said, I've studied in 2 other countries, and I just don't feel like this is at other campuses or other countries have this thing. So the career service on campus is really, really, really cool. It helps you find on-campus jobs. It helps you find internships. It helps you find jobs after graduation. It teaches even American students how to build a resume. It teaches you interview skills, and they have lots. And this is like, we usually have several career fairs every year at the career service office. But it's part of what you're paying for your tuition for both bachelor's and master's students. And we're really here to support you in that. And we know a lot of you guys want to find on-campus jobs to help yourself out a little bit, or stuff after graduation. I'm just going to put up this slide, and I want Gwen and Andrew to talk about, did they use the career services, and then how did they utilize that office?
Yeah, so when I was graduating, I used the career service quite a bit. The really good thing that I liked about them was that when I was creating my resume, I still wanted someone to look over it, to review it, to help me fine tune it, because even though you learn how to make a resume, sometimes you just want that extra, that extra set of eyes to look at it. And I was able to schedule a meeting individually with somebody from the Career Center and actually talk about what I wanted to do with my career, what direction I wanted to go with. And they were able to help me fine tune my resume so that it best fit the career that I wanted to go into.
Yeah, when I was a student, I think there was a trip to Chicago, just a day trip. There are several of those trips, maybe to Indianapolis or to Chicago, basically to see some different industries or different companies that usually Valpo alumni work at. So they usually go to a company where Valpo alumni works and that alumni speaks. So I went on that. And one thing that's very good to remember about the Career Center is that it's not that the Career Center will automatically give you a job. You don't go there and they give you a job. That'd be nice. But what they do is they teach you how to find a job. And I remember one little piece of very valuable information that I got at that trip to Chicago. There was a Valpo alumni that said, can you tell me how to ride a bike? And she asked everyone in the room that, and I said, well, I guess you put your leg over and you start pedaling and stuff like that. And she said, oh, actually, you shouldn't tell me just what to do. You should tell me your experience with riding a bike. Like, I lived in Japan, I lived in China, so I rode a bike through the busy roads of Japan and China, and that shows that I can actually ride a bike. So that's the kind of information, that they can help you to interview better and help you to know, what to say when you're looking for a job.
And this is showing some of the activities. I mean, they have so many activities. I think this is what I took all the activities for one semester and put it on here. So there are so many different activities, and you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't use them. And it's not just for when you're graduating, but like I said, throughout your whole career at Valpo, if you're a bachelor's or a master's student, they are there to help you with build those skills.
One more thing that we do in connection with the Career Center, we usually have panels, maybe once a semester, of international alumni who have come through Valpo and they've gotten their degree, and then they're working and living in many places around the world and around the US. So that is so cool to be able to see the alumni, international alumni, just like you, who got their degree and now what they're doing. And I think that's so helpful for the current students to see that. I'll put a link in the chat to a page we have of international alumni stories.
But there's a lot of other opportunities on campus to get involved. There's a picture actually from the World Banquet that some of our Nepali students from a couple of years performing. We have TED Talks on campus. We have several beach volleyball on campus. Your student ID gets you into all the music concerts, all the sporting events on campus. We're probably most famous for basketball. On the basketball team, I think we have 3 or 4 international students on the basketball team. So it's really, an American university experience. It's a lot of what you do and that's what you do in the classroom. And of course, that's your most important experience. But what you're doing outside of the classroom is also very, very important experience, and can really help you eventually get a job and get, and move you on to that next step or into grad school, or depending what you want to do as your next step.
That picture, Marci, of the TEDx, isn't that Shri?
That is Shri from
Nepali
Nepal.
student.
Yep.
So Nepali student took part in the TEDx talk.
And in fact, Shri this year is actually, he's a computer science, he double majored computer science and math with a minor in business. And Shri is actually doing a study abroad this semester. He's an undergrad student and doing a study abroad to the UK this semester. So even as an international student from the undergrad perspective, you can do study abroad. Just here's some of our rankings. We'll go through that really quick. You see it, now you see it. But this is why a lot of you guys are here, is probably, how do I prepare for my visa interview? And I'm going to turn this one over to Andrew, back over to Andrew for a little bit.
Yeah, so let's see here. So the first thing that you do when you get your I-20, I don't know if many of you have gotten your I-20, probably you have. So when you get the email that that contains your electronics I-20 scan, you take that CVIS number, I think it's on the top left side of the I-20, starts with N, you take that number and you go to this website that you see right there, and you can pay your CVIS fee. Now, if you don't remember the website, that's okay. You just Google CVIS fee payment and you'll find that. So the fee, I believe, is $350, right, for F students?
I think so. They keep changing it.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot, I know, but it's not our fee. It's the government fee, and so it's $350. And then once you pay that fee, you can schedule your visa interview. And we have a couple pages on our website with some tips. I'll try to find those links right now and put it in the chat. I'd say, Marci, maybe you probably have the best tips for how to manage the visa interview, since you've done it since you've coached so many students.
Well, there it is. There are some of the tips. And I have a lot of friends who are consulate officers that I know, even some of the people I went to high school with. So I'm always, I take them out for a beer and go, okay, tell me more. But the real most important thing in your visa interview is they want to know you're a legit student. They want to know that if their F1 visa is a student visa, and they really want you to know that you are a legitimate student. Your purpose of coming to the United States is to study. So that's what the thing you're trying to prove. Here's the deal in a visa interview. Sometimes they're less than 2 minutes. They're really, really quick. They're through the little window. But you have to prove that you're, and you go, well, how do I prove it? I got to accept it. Of course I'm a legit student, but it's a challenging to prove. I think knowing about your program, researching the university, and that's why we've been trying to tell you about the university, telling them why you picked Valparaiso. And it's okay to say, hey, as a grad student, I saw their tuition and I thought that was really reasonable. I liked it was in a cheaper town, closer to a big city. What is your personal reason? My reason for studying abroad and Andrew's reason for studying abroad would not be the same, or was not the same. I don't know if Gwen ever did a study. Gwen, did you ever study abroad?
No, I did not.
No. Someday, maybe.
Maybe.
So, so the purposes of our experiences are different. Your story should be your unique story. Why do I want to get this major? And you can even say, hey, I want to get that major. I want to get some practical experience and do some internships after graduation. But the other thing you're trying to prove is that you will return to your home country. So let's say you're getting a master's in IT, and you can say, hey, I'm doing a master's in IT. I've, studied engineering, but I really like computers better, whatever. And I really want to gain those skills. And I looked at the program, and these are some of the classes I would be taking, and this is how it's building my skills. And then I do plan on working in the United States for a couple of years. Then I want to take that money I made and maybe start a company back in India or Nepal or in Kenya. But you have to talk about how you're going to take your experience you had in the United States and return that to your home country. F1 visa is a non-immigrant intent visa. So it's there for you to be a student, you to gain some work experience, but it's there for you to be temporarily in the United States. So if you talk about that, I want to get F1 and then I want to do work and then I want to get sponsored by a company and become a permanent resident, you probably have failed your visa interview. But if you talk about how you're going to gain skills and do an internship and then bring that back to your home country, that is what they want to hear. And I think I would have just failed my visa interview because I talked too much. Think of the answers for these questions and think of how you could do that in like 2 sentences. Being concise is really, really important. And not sounding like your friend who just interviewed before you is also really important. This is your personal story. This is your personal experience. The funniest thing, one of my friends who's a consular officer said that I always ask him, where is the university? And they've heard 2 really, really bad things. I used to work at a school in Washington State. And they said, oh, I picked this school, which Washington State's by California on the West Coast. And they said, I picked this school because I want to live with my relatives in Virginia. Well, Virginia is by Washington, D.C. on the East Coast. So they failed their visa interview because they didn't know where the school was. They didn't know the information. Or the other way I've heard with this question, where is the school located, is and they give the address, 1620 Chapel Drive, Valparaiso. No, that's not what they want to know. They want to know that you've made an educated choice in picking Valparaiso. Whatever your reason you picked us. And where the location might be one of them, or maybe you wanted to see snow. So whatever your reason is, you have to be able to personalize that and not just memorize facts. Memorizing facts is another way to do that. But think through this process. Think what you're trying to get out of your degree and how you will bring that back to your home country. The other thing you have to do, I have another slide, is be able to explain how you're paying for your education. So make sure, if your parents are paying for it, that you say, oh, my parents are paying for it, or I took out a loan, or, and I plan on working for a couple of years and paying back the loan in the United States and then coming back. So, they really want to know what you are doing, how you're paying for that. And if you own a house or an apartment, or you're leaving a wife or a kid in your home country, that shows ties as well. If you're an older student, make sure you have supporting documents. If you own an apartment or stuff like that, show that document. You never know what they're going to ask. And the requirements are slightly different and the questions they ask are slightly different, but they always want to know, why are you getting this degree? What will you do after graduation? And like I said, it's okay to say, I will work for a couple of years, then I plan on returning home. And they want to know how you're paying for it. Anything else, Andrew, that I think I missed?
No, I think that's great. As far as employment and paying for your degree, many times students want to get on-campus jobs, and that is legal. That is allowed to do an on-campus job for 20 hours or less. Most students maybe work about 10 or 12 hours per week. That's fine to do, but that's not going to pay your degree. That will give you some very helpful money to, for living costs and everything, but it's not going to allow you to, survive in the U.S. So don't use that as part of proof that you can pay for your degree.
Know what's on your I-20. You guys had to show, if you have an I-20, you've already shown proof how you're paying for your degree.
Yeah.
So look back at that, and they might even say, hey, how do you have all this money in your bank account? Or how's your parents have all this money in your bank account? And some people will say, hey, but they've been saving up, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't remember what the next slide is. Oh, okay. Let's go back here. Any questions? You guys can turn on your camera or chat us. Any questions about the visa interview? And some students will go for a visa interview more than once. So it really, and some students have to do it more than once. Any other questions? We recommend that you apply for your visa appointment as soon as possible. Okay? You are allowed to enter the country up to 30 days before orientation date, and that moves into our next slide. Andrew, you want to cover these?
Yeah, so the spring 22 semester, the orientation day, the mandatory orientation day is January 7. That's a Friday. So January 7, and all international students must be here at that orientation time. It's completely mandatory. It's required to come by that time. That's the day on your I-20 if you're coming in spring 2022. So if you would happen to come in after that, you could have some questions and some issues, some problems at the port of entry at the airport when you go through customs because you're coming in after January 7. So we recommend that you come on January 6th or earlier. I think probably earlier is better than January 6th. Now, if you are undergrad, I'm not sure if there's any bachelor student on this call, but if you are undergrad, January 6th, it is the first day that the residence halls, the dormitories will be open for international students. So, so that's the day we would recommend that you come, unless you have, family or friends you can stay with before that. Most grad students probably would come before January 6th. So yeah, January 7 orientation. The undergrad bachelor student orientation is specific to them is January 10th, and the grad school orientation is January 10th as well. And we will also have some final orientation sessions on January 11th, and then on January 12th you start classes. So I think that's a Wednesday. Friday's the orientation, the following Wednesday is the start of classes.
Only grad students are allowed to live off campus. But we encourage you guys not to wait till you get here to look for apartments.
Yeah.
There was some trouble last year, and especially since this is in the holiday season.
Yeah.
We really recommend it maybe in December, you start looking for housing. You could reach out to us. Andrew sends out some emails about tips for finding housing. Make sure we do not have temporary housing for grad students. So, please make sure you guys look for housing before you arrive. That's something I really want to emphasize this year. We're happy to talk more about it. There's a lot of websites. You can reach out to current students, might be looking for roommates, but please do not wait till the last minute to look for housing. And because if you have to stay at a hotel for a couple of days, you might be spending a whole month of rent in a housing. When I first got here to Valparaiso, I was renting a 3-bedroom house for a little over $1,000. So if I had 2 other roommates, it'd be very reasonable. A single place, alone would probably cost you, a studio or 1-bedroom would probably cost you $700. So a lot of students choose to have roommates. Anyone else have any housing tips? Andrew, do you want to post the link for that off-campus housing thing that gets it gets updated like every month, and
Yeah.
It's people in the community that have apartments available.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably the best place to look to start with. I actually found my apartment when I first came to Valpo 9 years ago. I found it through that list. And I was actually in China, and I saw this this location. I thought it looked like a good deal, and I emailed the guy, and he sent me some pictures of it, and then I basically arranged that when I was still overseas when I came. So that I really strongly recommend that you really start looking probably a month or more before you come. Here's the link. Okay, so this link goes to a page on our website, and then on that site you can find another link that goes to this list of housing in the area.
Gwen, do you have any housing tips?
My housing tip would just be to look as soon, like Andrew and Marci had said, as soon as possible. I know in the fall semester, housing was filling up quickly. Some students were having issues finding housing, so that's definitely something that you do not want to put off for last minute.
Any questions on arrival dates, housing? I don't remember what the next slide is. Let's see. Arrival details. So we actually have 2 airports, and then I'll let Andrew talk. We have 2 airports around here. O'Hare is a very famous international airport, and a lot of times, from whatever country you're coming from, you can almost fly directly into O'Hare. And that's the airport that's a little further away. It's on the north. We're sort of south of the Chicago, and O'Hare is sort of north of Chicago. And transportation, there is ways to get there, but things have always constantly been changing lately. You know, there used to be a shuttle bus all the time, but with COVID, things have been changing and things are coming back. But we will also be sending out some emails about that before arrival. But then Andrew, you want to talk about this a little bit more?
Yeah, so probably in about a week or so, we'll start our series of 5 or 6 pre-arrival emails. So they'll come every week or 2 through the 1st of January. And so there'll be 5 or 6 pre-arrival emails. They'll cover a lot of the things we've talked about, and they'll have a lot of links in them. There will be suggestions about how to get from O'Hare to Valpo, and lots of things like that. So be on the lookout for those. They usually start with the title "Coming to Valparaiso," and they are from international@valpo.edu. So be on the lookout for that. And I'd say probably from the airport, you know, again, there used to be a bus that would come directly from the airport to Valpo. When COVID hit a year and a half ago, they stopped that and they haven't really started it up again, but there are some other ways. So we will put those in the pre-arrival email. But maybe if you can come with a friend
by then. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Uber or taxi would be the best way.
So yeah, this year, I mean, your initial one is I would try to connect, and you'll be invited to join a Facebook group of accepted students soon. But we usually try to arrange, hey, if one of you guys are arriving at 9, another one's arriving 11, on the same date, maybe you guys wait. It's worth a 2-hour wait and share an Uber, because you guys are going to have a lot of stuff on that initial arrival. I mean, I have taken the train from O'Hare into the city of Chicago, and then taken the train. Then you can take the train out to Valparaiso, and then or almost Valparaiso, one town over, and then take a very cheap taxi. And that's the cheapest way to do it.
I've done that too, but
yeah,
you might not
I
want
would
to
do that on your first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have some friends, you guys could try to pick, or if you meet people in the Facebook group, you say, hey, let's all try to arrive on the 7th. And
not the 7th. Not the 7th.
When's orientation?
You got it right before the 7th.
It's the 7th. I don't have the dates memorized yet. The 6th. Let's all try to arrive the 6th. Sorry, I didn't remember what date.
Yeah.
You only told me recently.
Yeah.
And so, but I hear there might be a bus coming back. So
that would be good.
Yeah.
In the chat there, I put the Facebook group. I just made it. It has nothing on it, so don't expect anything when you go to it. But starting next month, we'll start to put some things on it, and you can connect with that. You can request to join that group. Again, it has nothing on it right now except for the top picture, but we will put some stuff on it soon.
But this is a good way to find out when people looking for roommates, other people, how they're getting from the airport. It's cheaper always to do it as a group. Oh, but Midway is a lot closer, but it doesn't have as many international flights, as very few. But if you're arriving, maybe your port of entry is LA or New York or another city, and you have to then fly to Chicago, Midway is the closer airport in reality, though. Whoops. Orientation. We talked a little bit about orientation. Anything else you want to add? It is required, guys.
Yeah, and you might think, well, it's just a lot of information. I don't really need that. But we see, every year the students that come to orientation, they do well. They get friends, they get the information they need, even about immigration things. The students that miss orientation, maybe they're fine, but sometimes they miss things and they miss immigration details. And so it's very important that you come for the beginning of orientation. Both ours and the grad school.
Yep. And undergrad.
And undergrad.
They're all required, guys.
Yep.
Some of the things you'll do, at least in undergrad orientation, and I mean maybe even grad, is you'll meet your academic advisors, course registration. We'll get your official transcripts if you haven't sent them to us. So, but orientation is really, really important. It is setting you up for success. Plus, we do have some fun as well. Okay, this is your time for questions. Here are some of our social media. We encourage you to join. But I'm going to go to this page in case you need our email addresses to ask us questions in private. But any questions you guys have today? You can put it in the chat, or you can turn on your camera or your mic, whatever works for you. You guys are a quiet group. Earlier I saw someone and I didn't know if they were asking about the bachelor's or the master's in computer science. They had questions about what the courses would look like. Well, there we go. It was master's. So we could put, if you just type in Valpo MSIT, you can see the list of all the courses that you will take for that program. The interesting thing about courses in the United States and degrees in the United States is there's always core courses that everyone has to take to get the degree. And then there's usually options where in America, we let you design your own degree to a certain extent. So there's the link for the MSIT program. Any other questions people might have?
Hey, Marci and Andrew, good morning.
Hi.
Thanks
Hi.
for hosting the session. This is
problem.
very informative. I just want to know about the prerequisite course requirement when we are switching from undergrad stream to bachelor's, from master's another stream. So is there mandatory prerequisite courses, and how many would there be?
What are you studying?
So I did my undergraduate in electrical engineering, and now I enrolled for a master's in IT at Valpo.
There is no prerequisites, and Gwen, correct me if I'm wrong, but for that, we have different tracks depending on how experienced you are in computer science. So if someone had done a bachelor's in computer science, they would be on a slightly different track than you, who's coming from a different bachelor's degree, engineering versus a bachelor's in computer science. So there's different tracks within the program that it's designed to accommodate all different types of students. Right, Gwen?
Yeah, Marci, you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And one more thing, could you explain about the scholarship aid? Is there any possibilities to apply?
So at the
before
time of
enrolling?
admission, you were given, all students are considered for merit-based scholarships. So if you had a scholarship, you would have gotten it as part of your admissions letter.
Any criteria for that qualification, or it's generic to all the students?
All students are automatically considered. I'll be honest, the scholarships on the grad side is much smaller than the undergrad side, because we sort of already give you a discount. If you look at the tuition of our undergrad program, I've worked at about, I think, 6 different universities, and it's a lot more reasonably priced than a lot of universities. So we sort of just build that in because, tuition for the MSIT, for example, I think is around $12,000 a year, which is very reasonable. Tuition for the bachelor's degree is around $42,000 a year, but we have a little higher scholarships on the undergrad. But all students are automatically considered for scholarship at the time of admissions, and what you come in with is what you get.
Got you. And the final question, and how about the on-campus jobs? Or how many slots will be as per
There
the
are
admission
tons of
criteria?
on-campus jobs. I have not had a year where a student can't find one. Now, sometimes they're not the most glamorous jobs. Our biggest employer on campus is the cafeteria. But the cool thing working in the cafeteria is you do get free food. And jobs usually pay anywhere from $8 to $10 an hour on average. But sometimes, you can be working for the computer science department. Sometimes you'll be tutoring. I have undergrad students who are working in the residential halls and they're getting free housing, but that's an undergrad job. So there are tons and tons of on-campus jobs. Do they usually I know in the fall they have a job fair, right? For on-campus jobs. Do they have that in the spring too? I don't remember.
I don't know
Actually,
if
it
they have.
differs from fall to spring. That's why I'm asking. Fall,
Yeah.
they should have a lot of opportunities, but spring, they
No, they
should be good.
still, well, people graduate, so there's new jobs.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
so,
it's impossible to completely, say exactly what it will be like. But I think that there definitely is a strong chance that you will be able to find an on-campus job in your first semester. Now, when I say in your first semester, I don't mean like on January 10th or
By day
January
one.
5th, but it might be a little bit later. Even this semester, there were many students who got jobs in dining at the very beginning, back in late August. But then I've just seen some more students because maybe the other students, a few of them said, well, I'm too busy, so I can't work there now, or whatever. So, you just have to be patient and don't, it's not guaranteed, but there are, a lot of opportunities that you most likely will be able to find one.
and the career service office also helps with finding on-campus jobs.
Yeah.
So there was a website called Handshake that was listed there. And once you become a student, you'll have access to that. And a lot of on-campus jobs are posted in the Handshake system. So it's not just, internships off campus or not just jobs for after graduation, but they are on-campus jobs. Like I said, some of them are not the most glamorous, but they pay okay money.
I'd say the ones that I can think of. So dining is a big one. Then
Big.
in our office, the international office, we have several that are working at the front desk. Grad school probably has a few. The library has some front desk workers. Let's see what else. The athletics sometimes. Actually, when I was a student, not at Valpo, but another school, I worked in the athletics department, and that was a good job. I didn't have to do too much. But some students work on the grounds, like planting flowers or taking off the leaves, that kind of thing. So lots of
And
opportunities.
to be honest, a lot of American students want to work off campus. So, and as you're an international student, unless it's related to your major, you're not allowed to work off campus. A lot of on-campus employers know that international students can only work on campus. So they give you, don't tell the American students, it's maybe a little bit preferential hiring because I know you're more restricted on where you can work.
Yeah, got you. That helps. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, good afternoon. I hope that's the right time over there.
It's
I'm
morning
Emmanuel
for
from
us.
Nigeria. Oh, okay. This is Emmanuel from Nigeria, right? So I
Yes.
wanted to ask, I'm having a delay with my I-20 form. So I'm asking if there's what I could do to fast track the I-20 form, because over here we have limited dates for appointment for visa, right? So I'm actually trying to see how I can get the I-20 form as soon as
Are
possible.
you a grad student or undergrad student, Emmanuel?
I'm a grad student.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. So have you gotten your admission letter from Valpo?
Yeah, Andrew, I've gotten my admission later and as well accepted it, and I've sent my my approval funds, right? So I'm expecting the I-20 from now.
Yeah. So I was just looking at all the students who were admitted and needing I-20s. I think most of them have gotten their I-20s by this time, but we usually say give it about a week between the time you're admitted to when you get your I-20. So when did you get your admission letter?
That was around, it's been a while, I think September, I think. So I'm trying to check my mail to.
Can you in the chat, private chat us your full name and I'll check on, see what I see in the records.
Yeah, we'll definitely check on it.
Okay, I'll do that, Andrew. Thank you so much.
And you could do a private chat and we'll check on it
Okay, thank you.
to Andrew or me.
Yeah.
Andrew would be better.
Yeah, I've spoken to Andrew before. I sent him a mail at some point during my applications. And thank you so much for being so helpful.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Yeah, we'll definitely check in that.
But yeah, you should have it probably by now.
Yeah, I would think you would have gotten it. But anyway, send me your full name, Emmanuel Kocha. Send me your full
Yeah,
name.
I think
by
I
the chat.
found it. Let's see. Interesting. It's not in the, there's a question I think you had, Andrew, and looking in Slate.
Okay, yeah, we'll follow up.
Connect with
you
Andrew
and,
direct and we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Anyone else have any questions about campus, visa, Chicago? Okay, well, once
Okay,
again,
I'm
here,
sorry,
go ahead.
Marci. I actually joined the call quite late, right? So
Mhm.
I wasn't here when you were explaining about Chicago and the rest. So I don't know if you could do a recap.
Chicago is, and we usually send out the video afterwards of the presentation to the people who came. So you'll get that, but Chicago is 72 kilometers from the Valparaiso. We are considered a suburb of Chicago. Pre-COVID, probably about 20 to 30% of Valpo went into the city every day for work. But we do not recommend you try living in Chicago and commuting out. For some reason, it's more set up to go from Valpo into the city for work than to come out. The transportation is more geared toward that. So we it's available. It's very easy to do internships and stuff in Chicago, but we recommend you live in Valparaiso. But you can access it on the weekends and all the festivals and all the great international food. And it's very accessible to the city of Valparaiso.
it's a lot cheaper to live in Valpo than Chicago too.
That is true too. Any other questions we have, guys? Okay, well, thank you guys for all coming and joining us today. I want to thank my co-hosts here, Gwen and Andrew. Gwen only got 12-hour notice that she was on deck today. She did a great job. You got real Valpo students here, and we really want to thank you guys for coming. We really are here for you. The reason we do this is we love students. And so thank you guys for participating. We hope to see you guys on campus in January. Oh, dress warmly, winter. We forgot to discuss winter. We do have winter here. When you get here in January, make sure you have gloves and hats and a real winter coat.
We'll send some tips in those pre-arrival emails about winter dressing and winter weather. Yeah, it's okay. My wife just said that she heard that there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. So I don't know if that's always true, but basically what it means is if you're dressed right, winter's not that bad. But if you're dressed wrongly, winter can be pretty bad. So we'll send some tips about it.
Okay. And thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks,
we'll talk
Marci.
to you guys later.
Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you in January.